Welcome to the first video in Section 2, Ordering Decimals. Here we're going to compare decimals to see which one is bigger or smaller than the other. So for the first example, it says which number is larger, 315 thousandths or 32 hundredths. So what we're going to do is look at the digit in each place value to determine which is larger. And one way to do that is to organize their numbers into a chart like this. So here I have the tens place, the ones place, the tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. So let's place each number in the chart. So for 0.315, there are 0 tens and also 0 ones. There is a 3 in the tenth spot, 1 in the hundredths, and 5 in the thousandths. Now for 0.32, there are 0 tens and 0 ones, and there are 3 tenths and 2 hundredths. Now there's nothing in the thousands place, so we can fill that in with a 0. Now let's compare each place value. So in the tens, they both have a 0, that's the same. In the ones, they're both a 0, that's the same. In the tenths, they're both 3, they're the same. But if you look at the hundredths, you'll see that 2 is indeed larger. So then we can stop. We don't even need to look at the thousands place. So now since 2 is larger, we have our answer. So now let's look at this example. We have 21.6 and 26.1. So again, you can organize it in a chart like this. So for 21.6, there are 2 tens, 1 ones, and 6 tenths. And for 26.1, there are 2 tens, 6 ones, and 1 tenths. Comparing the tens place, that's the same. But when I move on to the ones, I see that 6 is larger. So again, you don't need to continue. You can stop right there and say that 26.1 is larger. Now another way to write this is using the symbol here and say that 26.1 is greater than 21.6. Here we got another example. We have to circle the smaller number. So we're going to do the same thing and compare place value. Now we're not going to put it in a chart this time. We'll just underline each digit to compare them. So in the ones place, they're both 5. That's the same. Now when we move on to the tenths place, they're different. I see that 2 is smaller, so I will circle this number. For B, I see that we both have a 0 in the ones place, so I'll move on to the tenths. They're both 7s. In the hundredths place, they're both 4s. Now the first decimal number don't have a thousands place, so let's fill that in with 0. So now when we compare the thousands place, 0 is indeed smaller, so we'll circle that number. Now for C, I see that they both start with 32. So let's move on to the tenths place. That's both 0, and when I look at the hundredths place, I have a 4 on the left and a 6 on the right. So the number on the left is smaller. Now for the last example, it says determine if 0.3 is less than 0.3 repeating. So how do we compare a terminating decimal with a repeating decimal? Well, let's write out 0.3, and then let's write out some digits of 0.3 repeating. So if we compare place value, I see that the tenths place both have a 3. So I need to move on to the hundredths place. Now 0.3 doesn't have a hundredths place, so let's fill that in with 0. So now when I compare them, I see that 0.3 is indeed smaller than 0.3 repeating. So that is one way to compare decimals. You can proceed to the next video in this lesson.